In 1967, the quiet town of Rosenheim, West Germany, became the center of a bizarre mystery. Phones rang with no one on the line, sometimes dialing numbers by themselves. This wasn't a technical glitch. Something stranger was at work. Light bulbs exploded, cabinets moved, and paintings spun on the walls. At the center was a young apprentice, Anne-Marie Schaberl. The phenomena seemed to follow her. The staff, led by lawyer Sigmund Adam, were practical people. Technicians and engineers were called in, but logic failed them. The law office became a public spectacle, with experts analyzing every detail. The Rosenheim case stands out as one of the most compelling paranormal investigations of the 20th century. The story of the Rosenheim Poltergeist invites us to look deeper into the fabric of reality. The questions raised in that small office still echo today. Join me as we pull back the curtain on one of the strangest cases in modern history. Let's begin our journey into the unknown.
Things you only talk about at the back of the cave.
The Rosenheim Poltergeist quickly became a legend, spreading far beyond the law office. It was a modern folktale, a mischievous, unseen force haunting a workplace. The entity seemed drawn to Anne-Marie, feeding off her emotional state. Newspapers and TV crews descended, eager to capture the chaos. The story became a battle between the known and the unknown, science versus the supernatural. The poltergeist was personified, capricious, sometimes quiet, then suddenly erupting in activity. This made the story relatable, easier to imagine than the laws of physics breaking down. Sigmund Adam became the beleaguered leader, the police baffled witnesses, and Anne-Marie the reluctant medium. The legend simplified the roles, turning a complex investigation into a classic ghost story. It was a tale of ordinary people thrust into extraordinary circumstances. The mythos made the story accessible, chilling, and unforgettable. At its core, the legend taps into our fear of the unknown. It suggests that beneath our reality, other forces might be at play. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, the Rosenheim legend reminds us mysteries still exist. Sometimes they hide in plain sight in an ordinary office in a quiet town. The story endures because it unsettles our sense of order. It's a reminder that our world may not be as stable as we think. The legend of Rosenheim is a story about uncertainty and the thrill of the unexplained, and that's why it continues to fascinate. The Rosenheim story didn't begin in a haunted castle, but in a modern law office at 13 Königstrasse. This was a place of logic, order, and evidence, where skepticism reigned. The staff were lawyers and assistants trained to deal in facts, not fantasy. The office was filled with ordinary objects, wooden desks, steel filing cabinets, fluorescent lights, and telephones. These mundane items became the playthings of an invisible force. The haunting invaded the modern world, not a place steeped in superstition. Rosenheim was a typical post-war town, embracing the future until the past seemed to intrude. The law office became a local spectacle, drawing crowds hoping to glimpse the strange events. The disruption spilled into the town, making private chaos a public mystery. The irony, a profession built on logic, was now facing the illogical. The evidence was unbelievable, the testimony sounded like fiction. The foundation of law, proof, and reason was shaken by events that defied both. This clash between rationality and the unknown elevated Rosenheim from ghost story to philosophical puzzle. The setting made the case all the more unsettling. In Rosenheim, the extraordinary invaded the ordinary. At the heart of the mystery was Anne-Marie Schaberl, a 19-year-old apprentice. She was quiet, emotionally fragile, and unhappy in her job, hardly someone seeking attention. Yet the phenomena always seemed to happen when she was present. Light bulbs swung, paintings rotated, phones rang, always near Anne-Marie. Was she a victim or the cause? Investigators noticed the pattern and began to study her background and emotional state. They developed a theory: recurrent spontaneous psychokinesis, or RSPK. This suggested that, under stress, some people might unconsciously project mental energy, causing physical disturbances. Anne-Marie wasn't haunted by a ghost. She was the ghost, her mind the source of chaos. She became the focus of scientific and public scrutiny, tested and observed. When she went on vacation, the phenomena stopped. When she returned, they resumed. Eventually, Anne-Marie left the law firm, and the haunting ended with her departure. The case left her in a lonely, difficult position, caught between science and the supernatural. Anne-Marie's story remains a mystery. Was she the agent, or just the focus of something stranger? The events followed her, and when she left, so did the poltergeist. The haunting was over, but the questions linger. Anne-Marie Schaberl's connection to the Rosenheim mystery endures. She remains the enigma at the center of it all. In 1967, strange events began quietly in Rosenheim, Germany. Phones malfunctioned, ringing with silence, dialing numbers on their own. Lights flickered, bulbs exploded, and objects moved on their own. Paintings spun, filing drawers slid open, and even a heavy cabinet shifted. Police witnessed the chaos firsthand. Scientist Hans Bender and John Mischko set up cameras and sensors. They recorded electrical surges, loud noises, and swinging lamps. The activity always centered around Anne-Marie, especially in the late afternoon. When Anne-Marie left in early 1968, the disturbances stopped. The haunting ended as mysteriously as it began. The Rosenheim case remains one of the most documented in paranormal history. Its mystery endures long after the phenomena ceased. What sets Rosenheim apart is the sheer volume of recorded evidence. The post office installed devices to monitor the phones, confirming hundreds of unexplained calls. Technicians found no faults. The calls defied explanation. Physicists Bender and Mischko brought scientific rigor, installing cameras and sensors. Their film captured a lamp swinging with no one nearby. Instruments recorded sudden electrical and magnetic surges during the phenomena. Eyewitness testimony came from lawyers, police, and staff. Credible, consistent, and detailed. Police officers witnessed events and filed official reports, lending credibility. Physical evidence included exploded bulbs and moved cabinets, all documented and photographed. The case file grew with logs, photos, and technical data. While any single piece could be faked, the interconnected evidence made a simple hoax unlikely. The evidence paints a picture of genuine, puzzling events. Rosenheim remains one of the best documented paranormal cases ever. The mystery is not just in the stories, but in the data that refuses to be explained. Science was brought in to explain the unexplainable. Parapsychologist Hans Bender led the investigation, ruling out technical faults in wiring, power, and phones. With conventional explanations exhausted, Bender considered psychokinesis, the mind influencing matter. He focused on Anne-Marie, theorizing her subconscious stress caused the disturbances. Instruments recorded voltage spikes and filmed a lamp swinging without physical cause. The evidence suggested a force acting directly on objects, not by human hands. Bender's conclusions were controversial. Mainstream science rejected psychokinesis. Still, his investigation was rigorous: equipment, data, and a testable hypothesis. The scrutiny didn't solve the mystery, but it raised serious questions about the limits of science. The Rosenheim case became a landmark in parapsychology. It forced a conversation about what science can and cannot explain. The data remains, challenging skeptics and believers alike. Rosenheim's mystery endures because science couldn't close the case. Skeptics have dissected the Rosenheim case, offering rational alternatives. The main theory: Anne-Marie orchestrated a hoax, using threads to move objects and making calls when unobserved. They argue investigators may have missed trickery or were biased toward the paranormal. Critics say police and staff weren't trained to spot deception, and dramatic events were never caught on film. Skeptics point to confirmation bias. Investigators saw what they wanted to see. Scientific instruments could have recorded mundane anomalies, not paranormal activity. The hoax theory can't explain every detail, but insists extraordinary claims need extraordinary evidence. For skeptics, the Rosenheim evidence doesn't meet that standard. The case is seen as a lesson in human error, not the supernatural. The debate continues, with each side finding support in the same facts. Rosenheim remains a battleground between belief and doubt. The mystery is as much psychological as it is paranormal. Decades later, the Rosenheim Poltergeist still fascinates. The case sits between fact and fiction, too well documented to dismiss, too strange to accept. For believers, it's a cornerstone of paranormal evidence involving scientists and police. For skeptics, it's a cautionary tale about perception and bias. The story forces us to confront the limits of our knowledge. Rosenheim is a puzzle with no easy solution, a question mark that lingers. It's a story about the tension between belief and doubt. Whether a psychic event, a hoax, or something else, The events in that Bavarian office remain unexplained. The mystery endures because it challenges our understanding of reality. We are drawn to such questions, forever seeking answers. And so, the enigma of Rosenheim lives on.